All right. It tells me that we're live. So hopefully this is actually working. I'm just noticing that my camera is in fact backwards to how it should be broadcasting, but I think we're just going to roll with it for now. Happy Thursday, people. My name is Shay. I am here to work in my studio session. I do this every week, or at least most weeks. This week is the first time I've tried broadcasting through the live stream function on YouTube. So if you're in the chat, let me know if it's working. Let me know if you can hear me. This is always something that makes me nervous, is trying a new technological thing. I am not the most tech savvy person out there. So yeah, I'm a little annoyed that the camera is backwards, but you know what? We will work on that for next week, and we will just go with what we have for now. So yeah, I guess I'll get started. I'm in the process of working on this map for Patreon. I do a map every month for my people there, and I'm just in the process of trying to think through like where I want the landforms to be on these geographic areas. I was thinking that it might be fun to kind of put the mountain ranges kind of through here. I realize that's a little tight, but I think it might be interesting. And then having a couple rivers come down through here. And then another one up here. Pardon me. So the job that I have for now is mountain ranges, and I'm going to get started on that. So whenever I'm kind of roughing in mountain ranges, I just go very basic shapes in pencil and kind of fill them in more concretely with pen. What I really want to do is just give myself an idea of what the range looks like, and then do all the detailing in ink. Sometimes this doesn't work in my favor so much, but a lot of the time it does. And so it's kind of become my norm. All right, so got my rough outlines in. I know where my rivers are going to be, so that gives me a chance to just start inking these in. So I work with microns for the most part. I'm trying to find a reasonable substitute for a micron that's not disposable, but I have not had the luck with that I had hoped for. If I ever do figure it out, I will let you know though, because it's kind of my white whale for pens. I do love the archival quality of a micron, and I love the way that they drop their lines. It's very nice and consistent. The nib sizes are so variable, and that's really great. I guess I don't want to sound too much like an ad for them, but they are pretty awesome. Patrick, hey, how's it going? Can you guys hear me okay? I've been a little bit nervous about not having some kind of feedback from the chat. Awesome. Thank you. This was so much easier to set up than the system that I have been using. Like, this is the definition of plug and play. So if this is gonna keep working, I am so excited. Cannot even begin to tell you how amazing this was. Hopefully it archives the way I want it to archive. If it does, then I am just so stoked. It's gonna be amazing. What have you been working on lately, my dear? You always have so many interesting projects going on. Your cyberpunk story, awesome. Fan fiction, that's great. That's a total accomplishment. Right on, right on. I feel like that is a particular kind of accomplishment in terms of just inspiring someone else. That is great. Did you? I cannot wait to see the second floor of that. I'm really excited about that project. I don't know if you can hear Saxon snoring behind me or not, but he's really giving her. With all the magic and spell books, that's awesome. Are you doing anything specific with the style of the books to indicate that they're magic? Or do you just know that and that's like part of a written description of the room kind of thing? John, hey, how's it going? Yeah, details are totally hard at that scale. For sure, for sure. Include restricted section. I feel like you would wanna, have a restricted section somewhere. Glad you can't complain. That is exciting. Some close-ups, yeah. So when you do your close-ups, are you planning on doing them just as, like, insets into the drawing? Like how sometimes you get an inset map inside of something like this? On a different page entirely? Yeah, that would be fun. The formatting of half the page. Yeah, that'd be good. John, what have you been working on lately? Anything? Nothing, unfortunately. You've had a lot of life going on, though. That is totally understandable. You just had a spiral of a frozen picture for a second. Oh, no. My god, tell me that this is all working. I do not want this to not be working. Maybe my good fortune at it going so smoothly was false hope. No problem since. Oh, good. Fabulous. Fabulous, fabulous. Because Patrick, this was so easy to set up. It was, like, perfect for a technophobe like me. I really hope that it archives the way I want it to, and there are no future problems because this was so great. I like it when that happens. Your original map, hey? In ink? Yeah, that would be good, John. That'd be super good. Oh. See, sweet tea is not a thing in Canada. You get iced tea or no tea, and I think iced tea has gotta be close to your guys' sweet tea. I've definitely never seen, like, an unsweetened tea here that you can just get as a soda fountain. Um, but I'm sorry that you didn't get what you wanted. That's not as fun as it could be. Yeah, maybe going inside makes it easier to, like, correct if there's issues, because then at least you haven't driven away. All of the insides are closed here. You can't go into a restaurant here, for, like, a chain restaurant anyway. Um, you have to either order takeout. A lot of places are doing, like, curbside delivery where you can just show up in your car and they'll bring out the food to you, or drive-through, but very few dining rooms are still open. Everything is shut down. 'Kay, take it easy, John. You stay safe too. I do not blame Chinese restaurants for closing right now. The amount of casual racism that is going on in the wake of this is just gross. I can't imagine that it's any better in the States because, like, your president has been causing it calling it the Chinese virus and stuff like that. It's bad enough here in Canada. Um, but yeah, cannot say as I blame them. I'm just really hoping that all of these smaller businesses don't end up going under because of all of this. Like, restaurants work on a shoestring budget at the best of times. I'd really hate to see families lose their businesses because of this. Yeah, it is absolutely horrible. I agree with you completely, Pat. Is it Pat or Patrick? Have I ever asked you that before? I feel like I have not. Do you have a preference? Laura, hey love. How you doing? Was wondering where you were too. Happy Thursday. Pat is fine. Okay, cool. I have one of those weird names that like people could not learn how to say, so I started using Shay when I was in like grade 6. Um, so I get pretty careful or try to be pretty careful about calling people what they want to be called. I'm not always perfect at it, but it's definitely something that I pay attention to. Still have a job. Yeah, you do know my name. You're one of the few. You get called Benjamin. I wonder if people just assume Patrick is your last name. Yeah, the victim of having 2 last names or 2 first names, I guess. I have a friend of mine who is Charles Prince, and he's in the army. And so in the army, everything is read backwards. So he gets a lot of Prince Charles all the time. And what's even more amazing is he's not the only Charles Prince I've ever met in my life. Because Laura, you remember Nathan Prince. His first name was actually Charles. He just went by Nathan because he was tired of dealing with people's shenanigans. Um, and yeah, there was all kinds of that going on. Thank you. I'm pretty excited about it. The water is just so much fun, you guys. Like, I freaking love the water so much. This is, like, my new favorite way to do water because the texture is just unreal. Um, love it, love it, love it. It definitely gives, like, that sense of current and flow and depth and mhm, huge fan. Huge fan. Alright, I need a 03. Where is my 03? Right here. Arts and crafts table. I like arts and crafts. My workspace is a desk that does not know if it wants to be part art studio, part writing desk for D&D stuff. Just, ugh. I think I'd like a desk that's almost twice the size of this one so that I could kind of split it in half writing and half drawing and set up two kind of different workstations. I think that would be super handy. You're making face shields, hey? Just for your own personal use, Laura, or are you, like, donating them somewhere? Frontline workers, nice. Nice. I do not have skills that would allow me to contribute to that gesture, so I will continue to do what I'm doing. I have to tell myself that putting beautiful things out in the world right now is also important, because otherwise it feels a little futile right now, if that makes any sense. I've been really struggling the last couple of weeks. I had a really bad week last week. I lost my grandfather, and two friends of mine both attempted to take their own lives, and it just, oof, boy, piled up on my brain. Was not doing so hot for a little while. But yesterday was just a remarkably better day, and I'm so grateful for it. Today feels pretty good so far too, so I will take it. I will take it and run. Um, Thanks, Pat. It's been hell of a climb. Hell of a climb, let me tell you. But you just gotta keep doing, right? But I accidentally double dosed one of my medications, not last night, but the night before, and I think that's part of the reason why yesterday was such a great day. And so I'm gonna bring that up with my doctor when I talk to him on Tuesday and just be like, "Hey, what if we try this going forward for a little while? Because that might be really good for me." Remember, kids, if you cannot make your own neurotransmitters, store-bought is fine. Was Alex exposed, Laura? I'm sorry, that must have been hard. I mean, you've always been together for birthdays. That's challenging stuff. You doing okay? Yeah, I can understand. That's a very adult decision for him to make. And Calgary has had so many more outbreaks than Edmonton has. Like, you guys are not batting 1,000 for this, unfortunately. Um, can definitely see that being a decision that he wants to make. Yep. And that's one of those lessons that you need to learn to make because, like, decisions where you can't please everyone are amazingly common as you get older. I've got to say, giving the frisket and then outlining my continents gives me a much more believable coastline because you just get to play with all the irregularities that were happening in the frisket. That's really fun. Hello, the Myrna. And sticking with your decision is absolutely hard, Laura. Like, you are not wrong. I'm in the middle of, like, trying to figure out what to do because Dave, in theory, is still set to come back at the end of May. Like, this is the Army, it could change on a dime. We have no official direction about what's happening with this at all. Um, but right now, like, the biggest question is whether or not they're gonna quarantine them in the first place that the plane lands down in Canada, or if he's gonna be allowed to come home and quarantine here. And Dave has been exposed to COVID. There is a guy in the battle group there who has it and has had it for like pushing a month. He's not doing as great as he could be. Dave knows him, is friends with him, has been exposed to it. He's not showing any signs of symptoms, and it's been about 3 weeks now, so we're pretty sure he's in the clear. But the best practices is recommended that I don't quarantine with him for this 2 weeks, that I live somewhere else if I can. They're not pushing it really hard, but they're just saying if you can. Um, and, like, I don't know if I should or not, and we were talking about it, and I said to Dave, like, "I have concerns, I'm not a target for this just but still, like, you've been exposed, blah, 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 blah." And he was like, "If you're not there and I get to quarantine at home, I'm gonna be real mad at you." And for anybody who's ever met my husband, he is one of the chillest people that I have ever known in my life. Like, nothing gets his dander up pretty much ever. So the idea that he would actually be like mad about something is a little bit staggering. And I was just like, oh God, now I have to figure out what to do about this. If they decide to quarantine them outside of home, then it's less of a problem for me because the quarantine will be finished by the time he gets back here. But if they decide that they can quarantine at home, I have to decide if I'm staying here or if I'm going to go stay with friends. And yeah, ugh, sticking with that decision is going to be a thing for sure. Breaking the law. Good job, Patrick. I am finding there is an increase in the trolling on the Facebook group, Patrick. You're not wrong. Um, like, we're still doing better than I think the average for a group that size, but we're just getting more people in. I think we have so many more people that are coming not to draw maps, but are just coming to like get maps for their games. And that's frustrating because I think it's really affecting the signal to noise ratio in the group. Um, we've gone up like 2,000 members in the last like 2 months. Like, it's exploding, but I'm not noticing like a similar explosion of people posting their work and stuff. Sometimes I wonder if that's the algorithm, but I don't feel like that's true. I feel like we have like maybe 100 regular posters out of a group that's almost 10,000 members now. So, but we've definitely had a couple that have been just super special the last little while. We had one the other day that after I called him on his shenanigans, he messaged me privately and just went off. I was like, "You know what, bro? Like, I don't have time for your self-entitled nonsense." Like, I get a lot of those. I think it's because people realize that I'm female, and so they think I'm gonna be a softer touch or something. My other 3 men are guys. And I'm just like, "No, that's not how this game plays." Like, if you're treating me with disrespect and disdain, then, there's no chance I'm gonna let you stay in the group. Like, think about that for a second. So, gets a little frustrating sometimes. I think it is that people are going stir crazy, Myrna, like, I really do. I think people are you had said to me the other day, like, talking to people is getting hard because people are just so desperate for attention. And I can relate to that because, like, I've definitely been desperate for attention. Like, I feel so lonely compared to what I normally feel like. And it's, like, concerning for me sometimes because it just doesn't feel good or healthy in ways that I'm used to feeling good and healthy. So, I think a lot of people are just so desperate to be given the attention that they feel they're missing out on that they're not necessarily thinking about how they're coming across. They're just doing the attention seeking behavior. But I don't know, man. I wish more people were more reflexive. Yeah, Laura, we're kind of expecting that he'll get quarantined in like Trenton or Moncton or something. It just depends on where the flight comes into and what their policies are at that point. The policies are changing like not quite every day, but pretty frequently. So, Army's doing what they can do. Can't blame them for it. Yeah, I wish I could have been there yesterday. I'm sorry. My morning was completely nuts yesterday, but I was happy to have a chance to do the thing. Laura, were you able to attend the art jam yesterday? Marla, hey darling, how are you? Yeah, hopefully progress. Working on it. You off today? Okay, have fun. Mindsight today, but it's very slow and chill. Well, I love that it's slow and chill. That's super exciting. I like slow chill days. I've had a lot of slow days since this COVID stuff started, but I can't say I've had a lot of chill days. Feel like we need more of those. Yeah, do an evening one. Let me know because that would be great for the art jam. First cup of tea. What kind of tea are you drinking? That is always one of my first questions when I find out someone is drinking tea. Oh man, I'm happy to hear that for you. That anxiety cliff has got a view I don't care for at all. Completely understand that feeling. Has there been anything specific that you've been anxious about, or just kind of the generalized anxiety that seems to go along with all of this shenanigans? Um, Laura, I think you need to be friends with Myrna or in the Wink creative community. When Myrna gets back, we can definitely double check on that. I normally repost the links too, and I think I forgot to this time, so that's probably also on me. She hosted it digitally yesterday, and it was in the morning, so that might have been more challenging for you to make with work. I know I was busy doing errands and being productive for the first time in a couple of weeks, so I was like, "Whoops." Um, but I definitely want to go to the next one. Prince of Wales from T Squared, Oolong. Yeah, grocery stores are their own particular kind of anxiety provokers now, I'm finding, at least for me. Um, I'm still, like, willing and able to go, but that's because the town that I'm living in has reported no cases. Like, true, they're not testing anybody except for those who are high risk. So there could be cases here that I just don't know about, but I feel like the grocery store is, like, the only permissible time that I get to leave my house, so I'm like, "Not gonna give this up," clutching onto it with both hands. Because otherwise, I'm at home, me and the dog. That is what we do right now. I mean, to be fair, it's what we do most of the time, but it feels different right now, if that makes any sense. Like I was saying to a friend of mine that my life has not really changed that much since the isolation protocols come into play. Like I work from home, I'm an introvert. Everything that I typically want to do is at home. Like I've got all my hobby stuff. Generally, my husband is here. That's not currently true, but generally he's here. Um, like typically I'm a homebody, like a homebody par excellence. So it's amazing to me just how much more I'm struggling with this protocol because this shouldn't be hard. Like, this is my normal. But there's something about it being an enforced choice, or not a choice, but like an enforced idea that is really sitting poorly with my sense of like self determination, I guess. And I gotta just keep reminding myself, like, this is for the greater good. Just sit your ass down. Oh, I've got some really fun oolong from '05 in Vancouver. They are a lovely, lovely little repository of teas that Myrna introduced me to when we were there. And I've got one that tastes like decomposing autumn leaves. And I know that sounds terrible, but it's actually just such a lovely flavor. Yeah, it is great to stay inside until someone tells you you can't leave. You are not wrong. You think so? Hey, Patrick? I find ours is really busy now too. Like, really busy now too. And I typically only go to the one just because I know the people there, but our Walmart has been, like, teeming with people. Like, that has been a serious thing. But I think that's partly because Walmart, you can get pickup service. So there's a lot of people that are just going and getting their groceries put into their car. So the parking lot at least is really busy. I haven't really been in the store all that much to know. Pretty quiet now after, yeah. That's good. That means your people are showing some sense and staying home. That's the kind of words. I do not have a word. Sense of security, common sense. Common sense, I think, was what I wanted. That we need right now. Sorry for my dog being super loud as he changes places to sleep. This island kind of reminds me of a fish. Yay, fish. This one kind of reminds me of a lobster claw. Very random shapes. Yeah, if you want to send me your cyberpunk stories, I'll totally read them, Patrick. I mean, you know it's not my genre, so it's not like I can add super great feedback, but I'm more than willing to read them if you want me to. Definitely. Definitely, definitely. A bird and a seal. Oh, yeah, yeah. Hey, I see that now. Awesome stuff. Oh my goodness, this has totally taught me how much I touch my face, though, you guys. Like, all the time. All the time, all the time, all the time. Yeah, fish and lobsters do go with the theme. I'll take it. I will take it. Marla, I can completely understand that. I think that I've done something similar. I get that. Absolutely. Hi, Gary. How you doing? Thanks for tuning in. Isn't the paint lovely? I am, yeah, in agreement with you. I think it's just fabulous. It's probably my favorite thing that I've added to my repertoire in a while. And I feel like I do need to add something to my repertoire because I've had like 3 people in the mapping group try to imitate my style of mountains in the last couple of weeks, and I'm like, "Okay, clearly I need to innovate something else now." And I'm okay with that, like, I think I'm the most okay with it because so far nobody's done it as well as I do, which sounds really arrogant, but there we go. I am sometimes that person. Tired. I'm sorry you're tired, love. Oh, thank you, Myrna. Yeah, they say that imitation is the most sincere form of flattery. That's true, Laura. Marla, this is the April map for my Patreon. I have a small but loyal following on Patreon, and so I do a map for them every month, and it gets posted up in a Photoshop format, so you can add your own labels to it if you want to use it for gaming, and in a JPEG if you just want to print it out and have a copy to hang on your wall, kind of thing. Um, I am not super good at promoting my Patreon. That is something that I kind of would like to get better at. I'd like to see it grow and become something that can actually help me, pay for art supplies and stuff like that. Um, but at the very least, like it keeps me on a schedule of creating at least one really great thing a month. And then I've got the rest of my time to kind of either work on commissions or work on personal projects and that kind of thing. There's really something to be said for having an external source of accountability. Like it really makes a difference in my creative process to have that be something that's happening. Um, so I'm grateful for it. That's an interesting concept, Myrna. A meteor strike map. I don't know what you're talking about, Gary. Like a theme for a future map? That could be fun. Oh, I follow what you're saying now, Gary. Yeah, I maybe. I had not considered that when I was doing it. I just thought that the circle of the mountains would kind of imitate the circle of the compass rose and that that might create some nice kind of secondary harmony. But surely there are geological reasons for stuff. That sounds really cool, Marla. Hmm. Space rave. I like raves. Dropping things on a blank paper and using those outlines as your line markings. That could be fun. I tried doing that with dice following this like dice method I had seen online a couple of maps ago, and I didn't find it as gratifying as I could have. But I think I probably needed to change the formula a little bit just to tighten it up a bit. Maybe next time. I'm really enjoying using photos of peeling paint as the basis of my landforms lately. I've done that for a few maps and it's just really nice. Very organic. One of the hardest things about trying to draw like coastlines and stuff when you're a human is things just look too regular. You need them to look a little bit more random, more organic than what you generally come up with on your own. Because the human brain likes order very, very much. Patrick Pollock. Maybe. Maybe they might. There's all kinds of emerging research that says that Jackson Pollock had like all kinds of intense mathematical equations going on in his work. And like I don't know enough about it to vouch for the accuracy of it, but his work sure was fascinating to look at. Although I have to say I prefer Gerhard Richter. Gerhard Richter's work is just fascinating to me. There used to be a documentary on Netflix called Gerhard Richter Painting that was really worth watching, in my opinion. Is a great insight into his creative process. And at one point, like, there's no filmographer there, like, there's no videographer, but he looks at this camera that's been left unattended to kind of supervise and document this process. And he's like, I just hate you. Everything is different with you here. And that was such a sentiment that I couldn't necessarily relate to at the time because I wasn't drawing in public a lot. I wasn't live streaming or anything. But now that I've started drawing in public more and live streaming in particular, there is something about the way that being observed changes your process that I find interesting and a little bit difficult sometimes. Um, I like the live stream format because it gives me the opportunity to kind of control that in a way that I find more congenial. Um, but yeah, it's interesting to me. I guess it's kind of Schrodinger's art. You don't know if art is being made or not made until it is observed. Do I ever hate my camera? No. No, I don't think so. Close your eyes and draw a line. Yeah, no, for sure. Brain is totally different. Blind contour drawing is one of the coolest things for that because you're not looking at what your hand is doing, you're looking at the image of whatever it is that you're trying to draw the contour of. And it's one of the most liberating things I've ever found for like breaking that hardcore perfectionist tendency that I have. Yeah, every time blind contour drawing is great. Schrodinger's comfort. Yeah, no kidding. um, Yeah, especially when you are used to drawing in a private space. Like, Myrna, you're not wrong. It's a very different process to work in public. I'm so much more comfortable with it now that I've been live streaming for over a year. Like going to art jam and drawing in front of a group of people when when I was able to come into town and do it in person was completely not difficult because I've had this experience of just hanging out with you guys on the regular. And that's a really great thing for me. It definitely has given me a lot more resources in terms of like managing those little anxieties that crop up and all of that. Yeah, blind contour is amazing. It's not art until a troll says it isn't. Oh my goodness. Speaking of things in the group, did you see Patrick Dyson flounce out a little while ago? Not Patrick Dyson, Dyson Logos. My God, get the names right. Patrick, did you see Dyson Logos flounce out a couple of days ago, maybe a week ago now? Somebody in the group made a post about how it wasn't cool for people to not like have appropriate scale and stuff like that and like not have those kinds of measurements on their maps, and if you didn't then it wasn't a real map. And like that's not the first time that argument has been posed, but it's the first time that like Dyson took such massive exception to it. And he was like, fine, I guess what I do is not maps, and he just had a freak out and then left. And I was like, bro, that's just a troll. Like, you're a professional freaking cartographer, you work for Wizards of the Coast right now, like you're one of the biggest names there is, don't let this guy get to you. Like, it was just kind of stunning, and I was a little bit shocked by it, honestly. It was just like, why does this one rando's opinion matter so much? Like, just no. You gotta value your own work and know what you're doing with it in order to not have to care about crap like that. Yeah, it was a thing. It was a real thing. I was just like, oof, oof. Have to say it did not like reflect well on him. As admins, we decided to like delete a bunch of comments just to kind of preserve reputations and stuff. And I was just like, ugh, gross. Gross, gross, gross. Guys, I love my trees. I can say that. I love my trees. They just make me happy. Yep. I agree with you, Patrick. I think that's why Myrna was saying earlier, like, there just seems to be more trolls on Facebook. And I'm like, it's because they can't go out and troll people in real life. So they're just stuck doing it online. Your trees are frustrating. What about your trees are frustrating, Patrick? Just finding a shape that you like? Because word up, that's a thing. Yeah, stippling art is one of those things that like blows the mind when you get close to it. I have so much appreciation for people who do that well. I do a lot of stippling, but I don't think I do a particularly great job at it. There are some people out there who are just absolutely phenomenal. So good. So, so good. You have to get the pen angle right or else it fills the entire space. What pens are you using? I'm super curious about this. I have not heard of this issue. You having a flow problem? Micron number 3. Oh, that you clipped your nib. Right, I remember you saying that. I remember you saying that. It is seeking revenge. Pens that get back at you, man. It's a thing. This is a 03 that I'm using right now, and it's, like, starting to die, which is nuts because I just bought this set. You can tell because 'cause it's got the washi tape on the end. Because I have so many sets of Microns that I have to track which are the newest sets now so that I don't forget. Um, but yeah, the nibs get punched down really quickly depending on what you're doing. My 05 for the new set is almost completely destroyed already. Or 005, not just my 05. But you were kind to me, Patrick, and sent me that link for the fact that I can buy them in a bulk pack, which is just like, hallelujah. I am here for this. Good. I'm glad you got yourself a set. No, I haven't, Gary. Unfortunately, I really should. That's something that I'm not sure how I would represent at this kind of scale. I think I'd have to do a much more zoomed in, closer map. But it's definitely something that I could try. Yeah, I'd have to do it at a closer scale, I think, but it would be worth trying. Oh, pardon me while I crack my knuckles here. A calligraphy set sounds like fun, Laura. It's a skill set that I also always intend to get into that I have yet to dedicate any serious amount of time to. There is a cartographer that I follow out of Poland, who does beautiful calligraphy and really appreciate his work. It's gorgeous. Calligraphy markers, yeah. I've always found for myself with calligraphy markers that they just don't have a reliable nib, like, they dry out quickly. Mm. Yeah, but I freaking love your writing, Myrna. Out of everyone I know that I would turn their handwriting into a font, it would be yours. Your writing is just so great. You're welcome. Oh, that's awesome, Gary. I'm glad. Did you try mixing a little bit of green into it like we were talking about just to see what would happen? Wasn't that brave? Yeah, that's fair. Just because you mix a color doesn't mean you have to use it. You have a lot of paint. You can afford to make some mistakes and just not use them. I showed Stephanie the Reaper website today for minis and mini paints and stuff, and I think what her phrase was like, "I hate you in the most loving way possible." I was like, "Yeah, that's fair. I know what that's about. I've been there." So oh, Marla, yeah. I did work on that map. I got it all done up and parceled out and dropped off, and then we played through it, and it went okay. It was better than not having a map. It was still tough because they couldn't track combat without knowing where all the markers were, so that part was a little bit complicated. But I think that they had fun being able to open the little envelopes and add it together room by room kind of thing. Seemed to go well. So they did that, got through that in 2 sessions, and then recently fought the big bad, and the turn order worked against me, and they actually killed her when she was supposed to have escaped. So I'm kind of like flying by the seat of my pants in terms of generating the next new threat and seeing where the story goes from here, because I wasn't planning on having my antagonist kick off in quite so early of a fashion. So we're dealing with the ramifications of that and how it came about. Um, it was a really emotional thing because the big bad had been inhabiting the body of an NPC that one of my players was pretty attached to. So when she kicked off, the NPC kicked off, and that precipitated some reactions. Um, so just kind of dealing with that as well and the fallout of that. Yeah, yeah, it was a thing. It was not at all something that I expected to have happen the way that it happened, but we're here now. So it's just like, okay, we will just have to make the best of what we can. How about the big bad's lawyer? Yeah, no kidding. We've kinda I've decided so, okay, so when this all went down, how did this go down? The NPC's name was Fabian. Fabian was someone who had had her memory tampered with by the big bad, whose name is Amelie. She'd been abducted by Amelie and was trying to be used as a plant to break into a city that was very, very insular, that practices necromancy, because she wanted to try to get a hold of the journals of an evil necromancer who had been in the region 300 years ago. But because the city was so insular, she basically needed to kidnap an inhabitant and then try to inhabit the inhabitant in order to get in, because otherwise, without that native knowledge, she never would have been successful and people would have known she was a spy and it would have been bad. So she abducted Fabian, tinkered with her memory, used her body in a way, I'm not totally sure how the science of that worked, to try and get into the city and snoop around. In the meantime, Fabian had already met Arcus, who's Charles's character, and they had had a bit of a tete-a-tete, and there was some definite deep affection and emotion going on. And so Arcus like had gone to rescue her and like bring her back, not knowing that Amelie was now like riding shotgun in her brain, and they had discovered that this psychic wound had happened. So they bargained with a hag to get the memories back, and then went through an elaborate ritual to get them reinstalled, basically. And upon reinstallation, that ended up being the key in the lock that gave Amelie complete control of the body. And so they had a giant showdown, and Amelie basically walked up to Arcus and was like, "Hi, I recognize you," which was pivotal to the story, and then just knifed him in the gut. So Charles was really shocked, which is fair. Combat ensued. Combat did not go my way. Amelie died, but I didn't feel like it had the same kind of like punch as what I was looking for, because it wasn't supposed to happen that way. And so I had it be that the body fell to the ground and then kind of ripped open, and this black obsidian skeleton walked out of the flesh sack, and it had bright green glowing gemstone eyes. And it looked at Daria, who is Lisa's character, who had done like 69 points of damage to it in a round by twinning 2 lightning bolt spells. She's a sorcerer. And said, "I'll remember you." And then bamfed out. And so that, of course, made Lisa go, "Ah, no, what's happening?" Which is great. I want her invested in the story. But in the meantime, Fabian is dead, and Amelie is also dead. So this is like the big bad they've been chasing for the last year in real time. Um, and I'm kind of stuck at square zero going, who is this skeleton? And what does he want? And why? Because I don't know any of these things. He just showed up. So now I need to figure it all out. Um, So that will be fun, and I will learn a lot as I go, I suppose. Which is kind of always the nature of the beast with these things, I think. Yeah, a warlock's patron. She was supposed to be a Grave Domain cleric necromancer, but I had the idea of her, like her original partner, Amelie's partner, was a wizard, and he was kind of the one that was, like, backboning their research into necromancy and lichdom, which they were trying to achieve together. He was killed before he was able to successfully complete the lich ritual, but her goal was to, like, raise him back again, and, they could be reunited. And so I had it so that because she wasn't as good at research on herself, like, by herself compared to Bartholomew, that she was dabbling with patron relationship to try and, like, bolster her skills and abilities and stuff like that. So, it was fun. Alright, bye, Marla, have a good one. Um, but yeah, Laura, it was pretty fun. Pretty fun. Hey, Naglis, how you doing? Pretty bad, I'm sorry to hear that. Oh, that's fabulous, Laura. I'm really glad it's responding to the chemo. An A3 map commission, that's exciting, Naglis. 3 weeks until it's due? Okay. That's a bad thing, hey? Is that too tight of a timeline for you? Yeah, that's fair. A3 is pretty big. What's the subject matter? Steampunk. Oh, that'll be a different kind of style for you. Fun. Um, I started on an 8 by 10 piece of paper, just like a graph paper in a little graph paper book, coil ring one. But I moved up to doing like 11 by 17 maps pretty quickly. I like having more room on the page to mess around with. It's just more comfortable in terms of the body mechanics for me. Oh my goodness, you guys, we've been doing this for an hour and 40 minutes already. Time is flying today. Calligraphy in A3 to A4. Poster sized. Oh, Patrick, that'd be huge. Digital color. That's really exciting, Douglas. That's really fun. Thanks, Patrick. I'm really enjoying how it's coming out. I think it's turning out quite well. A little bit more trees, and then I'll be able to start painting the land masses, I think. Oof. The cracking of the knuckles today just cannot be denied, guys. It is a thing. Hi, cats. Yeah, Patrick, I keep intending to, and then things just keep going wrong. But I mean, the fact that this live stream has gone so positively today in terms of the technology has got me feeling like way more rejuvenated in terms of doing it. Um, I need to do a whole bunch of world building work now with this skeleton dude. So let's see. When do I want to do it? Um, let's try for tomorrow. I'll post in the morning if I'm gonna go through with it. This weekend is a no-go for me because it's my husband's birthday today, and so we're playing a lot of Dungeons and Dragons this weekend so he can have something to do for his birthday while he's not here. But yeah, let's aim for tomorrow, 9:30 in the morning, so regular time, whatever that is for you guys. And I will post if it's gonna happen. I've got to figure out the skeleton guy. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Hairless cat. You gotta make sure they have cute sweaters because they get cold. I think my fingers are done for now, you guys. Oh, goodness. I hope that okay was about the sweaters, because yes. Yeah, this turned out pretty well. I am pretty happy with it. Thank you all for hanging out. This was really nice. It was a very good start to my day, and I feel like I've actually been productive today, which has not been true for a while. So thank you for assisting me with that. I'm very, very grateful. We'll see if this posts the way I want it to post, and if it does, we will have a small dance of celebration, um, and just hope that it stays working as easily as it worked today because this was so much more painful or painless. Goodness words. I need more coffee. All right, my darlings, I am gonna go. Take care. Watch for tomorrow for World Building Stream, and we'll see what we can do. Catch you later. Bye.